Hey there, my name is Brashler, and in this video, I want to talk about 169.254.somenumber.somenumber and why you're not able to connect to your Behringer wing or your digital console. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident with your production gear no matter where you're starting from. So let's go ahead and dive in. 169.254. Whatever number dot whatever number is something that you will see in a networking address for your mixer. Now, if you happen to see this number, a 169.254, and in this case, I have a .1.143 here on my console. This is a self-assigned IP address with your mixer or your computer or your networking device that you have. Now, a self-assigned IP address means that this mixer is not communicating with a DHCP server on your network. Now, this can be for a number of reasons. One, the most common thing is a cable that is not working. So if you plug in your mixer into your network and you don't see networking lights on the back of your mixer, then your cable is most often bad. Now, if you do happen to have a cable plugged into your mixer and you see lights on the back of that for your connection, and you are still seeing this 169.254 address on your mixer, then that means that the DHCP server of your network isn't communicating with your mixer. Now, when we're setting up a mixer on a network for the first time, my suggestion is go to Setup, go over to Remote, and make sure that your mode is set to DHCP. Now, DHCP is a thing that is on your network. It's in your Wi-Fi router. And so if you have a Wi-Fi router and you plug in your mixer into that Wi-Fi router, if the DHCP server on that router is turned on, it's going to dish out network addresses for your equipment that's plugged into that network. So, meaning that if I have this console plugged into that Wi-Fi router that has DHCP turned on, then that Wi-Fi router is going to assign an address to this mixer. Most often, it's going to be a 192.168.1 something or .0 something. In some cases, it would be a 10.0.0 something. And these are network addresses. And every individual piece of equipment needs to have its own network address. So if you see this network address, you can't have any other things on the network on that same address, because then there would be conflicts and they wouldn't be able to correctly talk to each other. So in this case, this console is seeing this 169.254. And that's because I actually have a network cable that's not plugged into my mixer. However, again, if we have a network cable plugged into the mixer and we know that we have a router that's dishing out DHCP, it's possible that somehow your mixer isn't communicating with that router, in which case you would need to go in to your router settings and make sure that DHCP is turned on. But also, there have been some instances where certain routers just don't work with certain products. And so if you have a router and it's not working for a lot of your products, then chances are you need to purchase a different router. But for the most part, any router that you buy should be able to work with our equipment. Now, this 169.254 address. One other thing that I could do is set up a network without a DHCP server. And I could set that up with this little network switch. If I was just using a wired connection with a computer, plugged it into this, plugged this into power, obviously, and plugged in the other port into my mixer, this isn't going to put out DHCP server addresses. So it's not going to give this console an address. Now, if I happen to plug in my computer into this and my console into this, it's going to assign itself its own address. So the wing has assigned itself this 169.254.1.171. Now, if I had my computer also plugged into this, I would also need to have my computer set to a self-assigned IP address. So for instance, 169.254.2.100. So your computer and your mixer need to have the same subnet mask. So for instance, if this was 255.255.255.0, then my computer would need to also be that. But in this case, it's going to be self-assigned IP address, which is going to give us 255.255.0.0. And your computer should do the same thing. Now on your computer, then you can go to your Wing edit and pull up this IP address of 169.254.1.171, and you should be able to pull it up. Now, that's if I have a wired connection on a network that's just closed between my computer and this console. Now, if you have a Wi-Fi setup, then we would have a DHCP server built into that Wi-Fi router. So in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and plug my cable into my mixer because that's what the problem was. And once I do that, the DHCP server is going to reach out to my mixer and it's going to update the IP address in this mixer. Now, sometimes this can take a little bit of time, or it might not do it on its own. So if that happens, you can either turn off your mixer and turn it back on, or you can just drop down the IP mode into static and then put it back up into DHCP. And then it will reach out to the DHCP server and get an address, in which case this will pop up here in a minute with a new address. Now my mixer is now communicating with my router, and we can see it's set to 10.0.10.149. Now I have my phone here and it's connected to the same Wi-Fi network as my router with this console connected into it. So I can simply now go and open up my program on my phone and I can go and rescan for a console, in which case we can see that I have my Wing here. So 10.0.10.149. Now, if this didn't pop up, then I would need to go and manually assign my address of this mixer. So we got 10.0.10.149, in which case I can go and press confirm and it will pop up with my mixer. And I would need to enter it correctly. There we go, and confirm, it's now connecting, and now I have control over my mixer on my phone. Now, again, if you do see this 169.254 address on your mixer, then you first need to check the cable, check the connections, and make sure that the networking lights on the back of the console are flashing. If that's working, then you need to go check your network equipment and make sure that DHCP is turned on and giving out addresses for your mixer. Now, one last troubleshooting thing that you can do is on your mixer, there are two network ports on the back of your Behringer Wing. There's a primary and a secondary. Now, if we go over to setup and in general, there is a network configuration for the internal audio over IP card, and we can set it between switched or separated. So switched means that both will talk to each other. Separated means that those two ports are different. So there is a primary and a secondary. I have my console set to switched. Now, one thing to note is that the far left network port, if you're looking at the back of the mixer, the far left network port is the primary port to your audio over IP module and the networking configurations for your mixer. So if you're not able to get your computer connected to your Wing, move the network port over to the left side and try again, and then that should work. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions, or there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on the Wing, the X32, really any of the production equipment that's out there, please post that in the comment section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. Also, I have a new set of effects presets and channel presets for the Behringer Wing, so if you are interested in having some effects presets loaded onto your Wing, go check those out at drewbrashler.com. There's also a link down in the description below for that. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.